is it Hawaii, one of those islands there, where since America has came there, their health is so abysmal. They've all become really obese. They've all come, and before they had a very like tropical fruits from the palm trees, and they had a high fish, so I think it's high protein and things like that, and they're very big and strong. And now it's just gone totally the opposite. And the government wants to obviously try to weed people off the American food, but politics has, kind of ends up different. But I would agree, really.
Yeah, standard American diet, it's also about the comfort of it, because it's easy. If you have a frozen dinner and you just take it into microwave, it takes literally 5 minutes, and you have warm food. Whereas if you need to cook your food, it's going to take you an hour or 40 minutes. So of course it's more laborsome. But then again, we need to consider that we are what we eat and what we absorb. So it's important, if you want to feel good tomorrow, you better spend that 40, 30 minutes and cook your dinner today.
I don't use microwaves. I just use the oven to heat food up. I have that patience. I put the food in the oven, and I go and have a shower, do some exercise. By the time I come out, it's ready. Sorry, kid.
It's okay. So what do you think about, the family unit, right? So if our bodies require different foods, right? Typically, at least here in the United States, when I make dinner for my kids, I make the same thing, or I used to make the same thing for everyone. So what would you say to that? For example, now my littlest, he has to have a sort of different diet because he has a lot of food allergies. So when I cook for my kids, I cook not exactly 2 different meals, but almost 2 different meals. Do you think that would be a better way of cooking? Like you cook individually for per person in the family, or this traditional way of just sort of making a dish and everyone eats that?
I think traditional way is better. I definitely think traditional way is better. There is in Chinese there is a saying I don't know how it would be in Chinese, but if you translate it to English, it says one pot meal. So basically, you cook everything in one pot, and then everybody's sharing the meal, and that's the healthiest thing you can get. Why? Because all the flavors are being blended. And it's just, it becomes a lot of things are pre-digested. So you put meat in there, or if you don't eat meat, you can put fish, or maybe some plant source of protein, vegetables, and maybe some grains, and it becomes served like a stew or soup. That would be great. The other side of the story is that kids are not used to that kind of food. I have a 12-year-old. If I give her something like that, I don't know what she's going to say. I don't know if she's going to eat that. So in my household, I cook, she has her own food, and I want to make sure that she eats vegetables. So I have to get creative with that. And then I cook something else for myself and for my husband. And, so it's always, always different kind of food. Do you want that? I don't know. Maybe it's not the right thing to do, but that's how it is in my household.
Would you say that's more down to how you bring up your children?
Sorry, can you say it again?
Would you say that's down to more how you bring up your children? Do you see what I mean?
Maybe, yeah, or what you used to yourself.
Yeah.
Things have changed so much. I mean, women work. If you look at 100 years ago, women were not working. They were staying home and they were cooking, so maybe they had more opportunity, to make different meals. We live in this absolutely different world. I mean, maybe we want to go back and be like our ancestors. The question is it even possible at this point? So we have to adjust to the circumstances and do our best in the situation that we're in. I mean, if you're a busy mom and, hockey mom who takes her kids to school, then to hockey or whatever extracurricular activity they're doing, and you need to do the laundry, and you have so many responsibilities. I mean, you can't, but you do the best that you can. You cook on Sundays, you freeze, you become creative with it.
Did you start to incorporate exercise in this whole remedy?
So in the
And if
beginning,
so,
I
what kind?
couldn't. At the beginning,
Okay.
I couldn't exercise. It was way too much for my body. I had chronic fatigue. There were times when I would just fall asleep on my desk, like putting head on my desk at work. So exercise was out of the question. I think probably a year down the road, I was able to start exercising. I love movement. So again, if somebody is really sick, they should consult with their doctor. We know that there are things that are good for us, like exercise. But if somebody is sick and has a medical condition, I always advise to consult their practitioner and ask them, is it a good idea for me to exercise at the moment? And if it is, what kind of exercise is good for me? If it's too intensive, it could be counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. Mm. What's your first port of call now if you feel poorly? Do you go to your local GP or general practitioner, what we call here in London, or do you go to your specialist, Hyperbaric?
Hyperbaric. Well, it really depends. If I'm not feeling well, I'm probably going to go to my GP and get the tests done to figure out what's going on with me. Mm-hmm. And then once I have the diagnosis, I can think, okay, how am I going to treat this condition? What can I do for myself so I feel better? Because GPs, we know that when I know the whole system, the NHS in England, doctors are overworked, underpaid. It's just terrible. I have a lot of patients from England, so I've heard stories. And we can't blame doctors. They have like 5 minutes to see every patient, make a decision, give them something so they start feeling better, and then off to see the next patient. Whereas naturopathic doctor has the luxury to spend an hour with a patient and really listen to their story and find out what's the root cause, what's going on with this patient, why they're feeling the way they feel. And when we find the root cause, then we can give them the right treatment. And going to hyperbaric oxygen therapy, because I'm sure everybody is anxious to learn what it is.
Yes.
That's the name of the show. So hyperbaric oxygen therapy is oxygen under pressure. And oxygen is a nutrient, and I want everybody to remember that because we're going to come back to that. How do we get under pressure? When you dive, you go under pressure. At the sea level, we're at 1 atmospheric pressure, right? So we're at like ground zero. When we go up on a plane, the pressure goes down. When we go down, when we dive, the pressure goes up. Another way to go under pressure is to get into hyperbaric chamber, which is a vessel you get in. It looks like a spaceship sometimes, like a small spaceship. You get in, it's closed, and then it gets pumped with air or pure oxygen. And eventually, it goes under pressure. And that's where the magic happens.
So you get completely closed in, like your whole body.
Yeah.
And then the air just comes in.
And the air just comes in.
And you just breathe normally while you're in there?
You just breathe normally. You don't feel any different. Maybe when the pressure is changing, because it takes time to pressurize the chamber and depressurize the chamber, maybe you feel a little different at that particular moment. Like you feel almost like when the plane's going down. You know, the feeling, maybe like a little bit popping in the ears and that feeling. I mean, if you've been on a plane, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That's the feeling when we're pressurizing or depressurizing the chamber. But other than that, once the pressure is up, you don't feel anything different. You can just lay down and relax. And if the chamber is big enough, you can sit down or maybe sleep is the best idea. It's very relaxing.
How long are you in there for?
Same question. Exactly.
Same question. So it really depends on the protocol that your doctor has, but normally sessions are from 60 minutes to 90 minutes.
So sleeping